What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I review cars. Also recently purchased Stangosaurus behind me here, so be sure you subscribe because I got a ton of modifications sitting in my house right now just begging to be installed in this beast, but we will get there. We will get there. So anyways, today I wanted to switch things up a little bit because I was thinking, brand new car, $40,000. What else could I have possibly purchased for $40,000? Maybe if I did not go new, what if I went used? What kind of really amazing vehicles out there could I have gotten for $40,000 or less? So today's video is going to be my top 10 cars, insanely cheap cars that will definitely make you look rich. So let's get started. And so let's start with the bottom of my list. Let's start with number 10 and work our way to number 1. So number 10 on my insanely cheap cars that make you look rich is going to be the 2012 Fisker Karma. And not only are these cars insanely rare, I don't think I've ever seen one in my area in Maryland or Pennsylvania lately, but they had an original starting price of right around $105,000. That is insanely expensive. But like I said, these are insanely cheap cars. The 2012 Fisker Karma is actually now selling for under $40,000. And this is a car that'll hit 60 in 5.9 seconds. But the real kicker is it looks nothing like anything else on the road right now, except for, of course, the new Karmas. I guess you could say they look pretty similar to that, but for the most part, you are not going to find another vehicle that looks like the Fisker Karma out there. So therefore, it is definitely going to grab your attention. So that is my number 10. Number 9 on my list, the 2007 Mercedes-Benz S-Class Sedan. And although it may not be as flashy as a Fisker Karma, it is definitely a very expensive car with an original starting price of $85,750. And by the way, this car now goes for around $10,000 to $20,000 used. That is insane. Not $40,000, not just under 40, but $10,000 to $20,000 for a car that originally MSRP'd for around $88,000. That is pretty crazy. And I put the 2007 specifically on my list because that is the year that the styling was updated for the S-Class sedan, and it kind of gave it more of that modern look, and it still looks amazing today. It still looks like it can easily sit on the manufacturer lot brand new, just as it is, and for $10,000 to $20,000, you are looking at the same price range of a new Civic, but with the S-Class sedan, you are going to get so many luxury features that you're still not going to see on newer cars these days. So that's why the 2007 Mercedes-Benz S-Class sedan is number 9 on my list. But now one of my favorites, my number 8 on my list is the Maserati Coupe. And I'm going to give you a date range from 2002 to 2006 on this one, which is when that one was produced. But originally, this one is going to MSRP at right around $82,000. But it is now selling for anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 for a Maserati. That is definitely impressive. By the way, the engine powering this thing is a Ferrari-derived V8 engine, giving you a 0 to 60 time of 4.9 seconds. Top speed, get this, 177 miles per hour. That is right, you can get a top speed of 177 miles per hour for $15,000. That is pretty intense. And overall, a car with a Ferrari-derived V8, again, for under $20,000. At this point, that car is an absolute steal and will most definitely make you look rich. Number 7 on my list, the 1993 to even 2003 Porsche 911. And so looking at the 911, this one originally MSRP'd for approximately $70,000, but is now selling for anywhere in the range of $10,000 to $30,000 for a Porsche 911. And I picked this particular date range because at this point, this is really the sweet spot for the 911, because if you guys know Porsches, you know that the older they get, they start increasing in value once again. And if you get a brand new one, of course, they're expensive, but just right in the middle, there's always a sweet spot where you can get this one for a relatively good price, and then once again, they start increasing in value as they get older. But with this one, you're going to get a naturally aspirated V6 engine, putting out 320 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque, and of course, you have the race-proven architecture of the 911, so that is not going to do you wrong. Definitely a timeless design. You can always immediately distinguish a Porsche from any other vehicle on the road. So that is why the Porsche 911 from the date range of 1993 to 2003 is my number 7 pick on this list. And now for the number 6 pick, a new newer vehicle, so to speak, the 2014 Maserati Ghibli and Ghibli S as well. And so I actually remember reviewing the Ghibli and being completely amazed. It is without a doubt a very high-end Italian luxury car with an original selling price of $67,000, now selling for under $30,000. And what's under the hood of this 2014 Ghibli, you may ask? Let me tell you, a Ferrari-derived 3-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine, and if you go with the Ghibli S, that is going to put out 404 horsepower, giving you a 0 to 60 time of only 4.5 seconds. And nonetheless, the ability to get a newer Maserati, a 2014, less than 5 years old, for under $30,000. It's definitely one of those inexpensive cars, relatively, I guess you could say, that will most definitely make you look rich. You pull up in a Maserati, you're definitely going to turn some heads. Then number 5 on my list, the 2009 Nissan GT-R. And so the 2009 GT-R had an original selling price of $111,585, but is now selling for under $50,000, and I've even seen them in the $30,000 ballpark, $35,000, $36,000, so definitely a steal at this point for a GT-R Godzilla. And so if you ended up going with this legend, your 0 to 60 time is going to come in at 3.3 seconds, which is going to most definitely pin you in the back of your seat. And powering this beast is going to be a twin turbocharged V6 with 480 horsepower, 434 pound-feet of torque, and the kicker with Godzilla, as always, is the all-wheel drive system. That power is sent to all 4 wheels, so you can bet you are not going to slip like you would in, let's say, a Ford Mustang when it starts to get colder out, at least. All-wheel drive is definitely going to help you not only around the turns, but with acceleration as well, so that is why the 2009 GT-R is number 5 on my list. Then for my number 4, they are starting to get really good at this point. The 2006-2007 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Original selling price $113,200, now selling for the mid-$30,000 range. Go ahead, type it into Auto Trader, and you will find an Aston Martin V8 Vantage for mid-30s, and they start to creep up into the 40s a little bit, but still a relatively inexpensive car that will most definitely make you look rich, and at the same time make you feel like James Bond as well. And the best part about this is essentially a supercar that comes standard with a 6-speed manual. Another plus to this one, giving you a 4.3-liter naturally aspirated V8, putting out 380 horsepower, 302 pound-feet of torque, with the top speed coming in at 175 miles per hour. So for around $35,000 every day, you could pretend you are in your own 007 movie, because it is the classic Aston Martin used in several of those movies. And then making my way to my number 3 pick, the 2003-2004 as well Dodge Viper. And so the original selling price on the 2003-2004 Viper was coming in at around $81,000 brand new, and these things can now be had for anywhere in the ballpark of $25,000 to $40,000. That is it. And by the way, probably the biggest engine on my list, an 8.3-liter V10 for $25,000 potentially. That is just ridiculous, giving you 500 horsepower, 525 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time that comes in at less than 4 seconds. By the way, the top speed on the Viper this year comes in at just over 190 miles per hour. Not that you're necessarily going to go that fast, of course, but it is nice to know that you got a car that comes in at 190 miles per hour for only $25,000. That is pretty insane. Not to mention all of the looks that you're going to get in this thing, and once again, an 8.3-liter V10. So the question really becomes, do I get a Subaru WRX or do I get a Dodge Viper? Then number 2 on my list, the 2008 Maserati Gran Turismo Coupe. And this one actually made it pretty far up on my list because I was blessed enough to drive one of these and had an absolute blast. One of my favorite parts is the paddle shifters were insanely quick and very much so supercar-like reaction times with them, with an original selling price of $114,600, now selling for under $30,000, you guys. That is pretty crazy. And by the way, the Gran Turismo Coupe was named one of the best looking coupes of all time, and even today's Maserati Gran Turismo Coupe, it doesn't look all that different from the 2008-2009 year. Just like Porsche, it is really a timeless design. The look still remains insanely good looking, even back in 2008. And once again, it gets better, of course. Looking under the hood, you have the Ferrari-derived 4.2-liter V8 engine, putting out 400 horsepower, 339 pound-feet of torque, with a 0 to 60 time of 5.1 seconds, and a top speed coming in close to the Viper, coming in at 100 188 miles per hour. That is pretty ridiculous. And like I said, relatively obtainable, coming in at under $30,000 for one of the best looking coupes of all time, and insanely fast reacting paddle shifters with a Ferrari derived engine. So really an excellent bet at under $30,000 there. And lastly, my number one pick out of my 10 best inexpensive cars that will make you look rich, my number one on my list is the 2004-2005 Bentley Continental GT. And this could be the coupe or convertible. I had personally driven the convertible, I think it was last year, but even in my walk around, I went to a place where there was almost no people around me, and I still got people that walked up to me while I was filming that one asking about the car. So it will most definitely turn heads. And by the way, this is the most expensive original starting price on my list as well. Originally selling for $158,585, now selling for under $40,000, you guys. That is crazy. So instead of the Ford Mustang GT that I am currently driving, I could have got a used Bentley Continental GT and turned so many heads and broken so many necks. And once again, it gets better with a 6-liter W12 engine. That's the kicker. You thought the V10 was nice. This one has 12 cylinders, not a V12, but a W12 engine. Very unique setup and specific to Bentley, really, giving you 552 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. So I will say, when I drove it, the acceleration still didn't feel all that fast because it is a boat. It is a beast of a vehicle. But again, really the purpose of the W12 is to move that thing still relatively quickly and just turn heads all over the place. That's really essentially what that one is for. I think that Bentley Continental actually came in at around 5,300 pounds. I think, if I remember correctly, 0 to 60 time was still 4.4 seconds, which isn't that bad, although I will say it did not feel that fast. But again, you will most definitely get some attention if you're driving that thing. But that is it for my list. Hope you guys get some insight. If you were looking to purchase a vehicle for under $40,000, there's some options for you if you wanted to turn some heads. So it would be kind of fun to pull up into your driveway the next day and have all your neighbors looking at you, having them think you have some secret Swiss bank account on the side or something like that. Everyone's gonna think you are rich, although little do they know you got it for under $40,000. So in the end, I'm perfectly happy with my 2019 Ford Mustang GT that I purchased. And again, if you guys wanted to see the modifications and all the other videos surrounding this vehicle, as well as reviews like I always do, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like this video for something completely random that I decided to do. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. As always, stay gold.